what is the Southern California Secular Coalition? What's the group? Who are the groups that are involved in it? And just to give a thumbnail really of what the whole purpose is and what the groups that are involved have been involved in. So we're just gonna introduce. We've got 6 groups that are really participating groups planning this event. There are other groups that sort of are in and out of the coalition. It's not a formal organization. It's very informal. We're going to have the groups that have been involved in planning the event just give a few minutes each telling about their groups and some highlights about them so that you're aware of them. You may not even be aware that they might be in your area. And also, one of the great things, of course, is in this day of Zoom, we're not restricted to our local, groups. We can really take advantage of all the great groups that are out there. And part of what we're doing as a group is having a meetup site and a website that shares everybody's events. So it's one place to go for a whole potpourri of great events. Just as far as, sort of the history of the coalition, we really got together a group of leaders in Southern California back in 2018 and started talking about what can we do to create more collaboration? How can we pull folks together and not make folks feel like they're just isolated in their own little groups? And so we decided to form a leadership summit, and we held our first one in March 2019 in a large Airbnb out in Temecula. And it was a really great event. 25 people came, leaders of different groups, everywhere from atheist groups, humanist groups, Freethought, Sunday Assembly, secular Jewish groups, and other groups. The goal of the coalition is really to provide a framework for secular organizations across Southern California, at least as a model here. We'd love to see this happening everywhere in the country, to connect, share, and grow together. We'd like to see every secular community in Southern California, whether you're identified as secular or not, working together to build a more humanistic society. Our meetup site publicizes all the events from different member groups. It's a great place to go and expand your network. So whether you're in Southern Cal or not today, we would encourage you to be a regular visitor to the site and feel free to join in any of the events that are going on. So with that said, let me introduce Steph Campbell with Americans United for Separation of Church and State. Steph.
Hi, everyone. I have been working on the separation of church and state for a lot of years, including building a chapter here in Orange County. And I also have served on the National Board of Trustees. I served on the board for 9 years until I was termed out last month. And working with Americans United has been some of the most important activism that I have ever done. And I've been an activist ever since I moved back to California in 1976, which is longer than some people here have been alive. So the scope of the issues that we have covered at Americans United has changed somewhat as battles are won, but our focus of maintaining the wall of separation has never altered, nor has our support and protection of those magical words of the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause in the First Amendment, which states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the Orange County chapter. We started our chapter during the first campaign of George W. Bush. One of the inspirations for that was a speech I heard given by Eddie Tabash, who is still on the National Board of Trustees. And he talked about the separation of church and state and how important it was that we recognize how much religion was being implemented through the George W. Bush campaign, and how much religious rhetoric was going on. And a group of us here in Orange County felt that this was really not appropriate for a presidential campaign. And we got together and thought about what our goal should be for our chapter. And we decided that our mission was going to be to educate people in the county why this was not appropriate behavior. Not only that, we wanted to talk about what the separation of church and state was about, because it covers a lot of things that people are not aware of, from politics in the pulpit to evolution in schools, protections for the LGBTQ community, reproductive rights, and on and on. So our goal of education has continued, and all of our topics relate to the separation of church and state. And I want to quickly cover what we did in 2021 to give you a sense of the scope of our chapter's activities. So we covered white supremacy and Christian nationalism, talked about what happened at the Supreme Court when the majority of its members are from the religious right. And that was a presentation that my dear friend Eddie Tabash gave. Medical aid in dying in California, how to use it, what it means, the Do No Harm Act. We talked about what America did and did not do during the World War II Holocaust. So we cover history as well, how healthcare works in the LGBTQ community. We also had a very interesting discussion about the perspective of white supremacy from progressive churches and how they feel about it and what kinds of work they're doing. We did, of course, have the wonderful Phil Zuckerman talk about what it means to be moral and why religion isn't necessary for living an ethical life. And when we open up for in-person, Phil, I'm hoping that you're going to come and join us again. We talk about issues of religious liberty in Orange County schools. And we're going to end our year with a conversation between the executive director of the Council on American Islamic Relations and the senior pastor at Irvine United Congregational Church, with a lot of emphasis about how those two people feel about science and their own respective religion. So in 2022, we're going to continue our educational outreach. And I'm hoping that many of you will join us. We imagine we will be doing a hybrid of in-person and Zoom next year. So that should make it possible for a lot of people to join us. So Dave, that's my take on Americans United for Separation of Church and State. And thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Steph. So up next is, all right, Bruce, you're up. Go. Backyard Skeptics. Yeah.
So here's our backyard. Here's where backyards started. And I wanted to form a group that, instead of just going to a dinner group, which there was mostly groups around 15 years ago, and there was no organization to it, although it was an interesting conversation, you were kind of limited with, the 3 or 4 people that you were around. So I decided to start organizing it and have in-person meetings, very much like a dinner meeting, but only 5 to 10 people, and everybody had a chance to talk, and we had a much better discussion because you get so many different diversified opinions. And I started learning more about the examining skeptical claims, examining supernatural claims, which CFI has, that's called the IIG investigation group in LA, which I greatly support. And they're the ones who actually make examinations and tests for the supernatural. And that kind of brought me more into the skeptical world. Started doing conferences, the Freethought Alliance conference about 6 years ago. I think we did 3 of those. It was a great conference. In fact, Phil was at 2 of them, 2 of the 3. So people from all around the country came. And of course, COVID put a stop to that. Also started Logical LA, more of a scientific conference, which was really great. A lot of just wonderful speakers that you would see at some of the major national events. And I was very, very proud to do that. Great hotels, great after parties at the bar. And I'm just proud to support all of these different groups through the Backyard Skeptics groups. And I know Backyard Skeptics kind of sounds a little informal, but that's really what the meat of it is. It's so informal. You could ask your questions and get opinions and change your opinion, and you change your mind. And all of the groups that are supported here through the Secular Coalition of Southern California are worthwhile to support. So if you find any particular group in your area, support them. Give them $5 a month. Visit their groups online or in person if you can. It's important to keep this community alive and thriving through scientific research and confirmation. And especially in today's world where we have one particular news organization that is spreading lies. And I think that there was, yes, there was an article in Snopes, S-N-O-P-E-S, Snopes.com, about this one particular news organization. I think you know my meaning there. And I'm a little bit worried that it's separating our country and our democracy. I'm sure that if you kind of cross over into the political field, you'll probably agree with me. Does anybody agree with me that we're kind of getting more and more divided over the past? Okay, everybody's, good, all right. That's it for Backyard Skeptics.
Okay, awesome, Bruce. Thanks so much. And up next is Rhett from Humanist Association, Orange County.
Hey, everybody, Rhett Kuseski, Humanist Association of Orange County. Just wanted to give a shout out to our Humanist group. We used to meet in Irvine before the pandemic. So if you're local to that area, feel free to stop by once we go back live. Of course, we're on Zoom now. We're on the SCSC website and Meetup. We've got our own Meetup site, and we are an official chapter of the American Humanist Association. So we continue that tradition, promoting humanism. But I just wanted to share kind of a quick story, kind of in line with what others have talked about. I'm just so grateful and thankful that we have this, secular community, and we have, humanism in general. I certainly didn't start out that way, but just to contrast that a bit, I was at a Ratio Christi event, which is a Christian apologetics group at the UCI campus, and the guest speaker there was talking about how he was promoting the fact that the Christian worldview was the only worldview that made sense of the world around us. Of course, after he got done with his 30 to 40-minute presentation, I stood up during the question and answer period, and I introduced myself as a agnostic atheist humanist. I told him that I was an ex-Christian and a former seminary graduate, and I said, that's not my 9 years of being a Christian. That's not what I experienced at all. I had a ton of cognitive dissonance, always trying to challenge myself to prove what I believed. I got into apologetics. I got into creation science. And like I said, I even went to seminary to kind of figure out, hey, what is this world all about? What's the truth? And after 9 years of being a Christian, I came to the conclusion that the Christian worldview was not what I was experiencing in my life. So anyway, that was kind of more of a shout out to those who are new to humanism. If you're struggling in this area, conversion, deconversion, I do teachings on that. But just wanted to let people know that I'm just excited about the meaning and purpose that humanism have given me. So thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Judy Flattery, and I am president of the Humanist Society of Santa Barbara. And just in case you don't know where Santa Barbara is, can you see it on my screen? It's right here. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, all volunteer organization, no paid staff. We've been here in Santa Barbara for over 25 years. We have 127 members, which is about 1 out of every 1,000 people in the Santa Barbara area, and 235 interested non-members. We have monthly educational programs. Most of what we do is education, and we explore topics related to our core values. Used to meet in person, but we've been doing it on Zoom since the beginning of the pandemic. We do record, edit, and upload our videos to YouTube. And I said most of our talks have to do with our core values. Humanist core values have been talked about before, but they tend to run into topics of science, technology, separation of church and state, environmentalism, preserving the earth, common moral decency, and skepticism of untested claims. Many of the people attending today have spoken to our society, and I very much appreciate your support on that. I mentioned that since the pandemic, yes, we lost the ability to meet in person and socialize every month, but we have been putting things on Zoom, and so our speaker talks since the pandemic have been going up on Zoom. And here you can see, oh, there's Bruce. Bruce talked to us, John Wathy talking, the author of the Illusion of God's Presence. 10,000 views, The Apostate Prophet. Ridvan Ademir spoke to us, Armin Navabi from Atheist Republic and Secular Jihadist, Daryl Ray speaking us later today, Hank, and a 9-part series from Dr. Tom English on environmentalism. So please feel free to take a look at our YouTube channel and subscribe to it if you're interested. We're also fortunate to be close to UCSB and Santa Barbara City College, so the professors there often contribute wonderful talks, such as Dr. Annabelle Ford, who was talking about the agricultural practices of the Mayans, which is very interesting. So we sometimes have special interest activities, but most of our work is in these educational programs, outdoor solstice gatherings, and we are open. We are resourced. We've been around for a while. We're solid financially, and we are open to doing different types of special interest activities for anybody who'd like to kind of join us and take something on and lead it. You're welcome to do so. Have a monthly newsletter, the Secular Circular, which if you'd like to, you can always get a copy of that. And here's our webpage showing some of the activities that we participate in. And if you'd like to join our email list or learn more about HSSB, just send me a note in the chat and I'd be happy to add you. And that's it for me, Dave.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Judy. And Paul, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Paul Schmeer. I'm with the Humanist community of Ventura County, and we started our group about 2014, and it started off with Evan Clark, who's now with Atheist United, and he was a student at Cal Lutheran and organized an SSA there. And I asked him, what are we going to do when you are not a student at Cal Lutheran? And so we started our group. And it's the Humanist Community of Ventura County, which is an AHA chapter 501c3 as well. We were doing quite a few programs and things prior to the pandemic, and we had some loss of some of our key members. They just moved out of town. Ventura County is just north of Los Angeles, south of Santa Barbara, and there's only about 800,000 people in the county, but we're kind of spread out. So it makes it difficult to have physical meetings. And so we would hopscotch them around city to city within the county. It was difficult to get things organized. And then the pandemic really put a kibosh on that. And we ended up resorting to Zoom. But some of the things that we've been working on during the COVID was the rise of the Rob McCoy network. Rob McCoy is a local pastor. He evangelical, and then he got on the city council, increased his political profile. He had people like Mike Huckabee coming to help him. There's a fellow by the name of David Lane, who, if you are familiar with the Southern Poverty Law Center, have identified him as a hate monger, but he works in the background of evangelicals. McCoy also has some friends in high places in the Texas oil fracking business, and they donated money to buy up our local YMCA and basically convert that over to a church, and they lease it to Rob McCoy. So during the pandemic, Rob McCoy was holding church services, putting out national public things. So he wants to become either a Mike Huckabee or the next big televangelist. And so we've been working to try and highlight his hidden agenda and his network and such. Also, what we've been working on is the Father Sarah, who was both in front of the City Hall and the Ventura County Seal. And we are making progress. During Black Lives Matter and Juneteenth, there were big rallies to eliminate all white people who exploit free labor through slavery and that sort of thing. And we managed to get him, with the help of our Chumash leader, Judy, to get his statue removed from in front of City Hall. And over the last year, the city has quit using their county seal. They can't eliminate the county seal right away, but what they've done is they substitute a logo on all the vehicles and on all literature. And so we are slowly evolving by getting rid of religious icons on our government institutions. And then finally, I've been working with our Planned Parenthood. This stamp was put out in March 1972. So we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of that. And we purchased a number of stamps. You can buy these on eBay for stamp collectors, and made up these nice little poster. This was the original United States Postal Service family planning commemorative stamp. And we put them in mounted in a frame, and we're providing those to the local Planned Parenthoods. They are not going to be putting them in the public areas, but they are putting it in their employee break areas, so that all employees could see that the tradition of family planning is non-controversial. And actually, there was a stamp 50 years ago that promoted it. So these are the things we're working on during COVID, since we can't actually meet, but we're developing alliances through the community. And we're hoping that once it's safe to meet again, that we can start doing more of that sort of thing. So that's pretty much what we've been busy doing. We pale in comparison to Judy's group in Santa Barbara, but we're not that old yet.
Hey, listen, Paul, it's all good. And, this is part of the whole benefit, I think, of the coalition, the reason we wanted to come together, so that we could just all really benefit from each other's efforts, share speakers, share resources, share ideas, and really just collaborate. And we appreciate everything you're doing. It's awesome. And last but not least is Margaret Downey with Freethought Society. Welcome, Margaret. Good.
So, hi, everybody. My name is Margaret Downey, and I am the founder and president of the Freethought Society. We operate bi-coastally with teams of volunteers in Pennsylvania, Georgia, and California. The Freethought Society is pleased to be a co-sponsor of this conference, which seeks to connect as many people as possible within the state of California. We have and always have been a cooperative, non-competing organization seeking to unify the non-theist community. Now, with that goal and vision, we are proud to have developed co-sponsoring opportunities for local and national groups. In 2021, we co-hosted events with the Center for Inquiry, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, American Humanist Association, the Secular Coalition for America, Secular Student Alliance, American Atheist, Hispanic American Freethinkers, American Atheist, and Atheist United. We want to invite everyone to please visit the Freethought Society YouTube channel to see recordings of our special events, such as the June 8th Thomas Paine Day and our November 2nd Secular Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos secular presentation. We are most proud of the May 2021 event that raised $25,000 for homeless shelters and food banks. We called the event May Day for Humanity. And if you were one of the many people who donated that night, thank you so much for your support. Working closely with the Center for Inquiry and the Freedom from Religion Foundation, we have helped raise $50,000 to place a statue of Thomas Paine in Washington, D.C. Now, on today's program, around 3:00 p.m., I'll be telling you more about the many volunteer opportunities we offer through the Freethought Society. We have so much information that can be found at the Freethought Society website. I'll go ahead and hold that up to the camera, ftsociety.org. And thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be sending you a complimentary e-zine notification as a thank you gift. Author Herb Silverman is a regular columnist, and we also publish regularly journey stories and free thought essays of value to the community. And thank you for your attention.
Awesome, Margaret. Thank you so much.